Hill, thank you very much indeed for talking to LBC today.
Thank you, Andrew.
So now let's hear from Afif Safieh, the former delegate of the Palestinian Authority in the UK and indeed Washington, D.C. Afif, thank you very much for coming in. So far, the Palestinians are not represented in this process at all. How can it possibly work?
Mr. Marr, allow me to introduce myself slightly longer. I've been a major dialoguer on behalf of the PLO with Israeli circles and Jewish circles from the 80s onwards, while we were negotiating pre-negotiations and negotiating pre-negotiations, etc. Today, I cannot but express my disappointment at what happened in Washington. First of all, I think President Trump is no gentleman. The document he presented in his press conference is different from the document he discussed with the Arab and Muslim leaders in New York.
Really?
Because it was changed drastically during the weekend in discussions between Mr. Witkoff and Kushner with Netanyahu. So he's no gentleman. It doesn't happen that way, diplomacy. It's based on trust. Number two, sir, I was hoping a lot from that press conference, and I am a peace enthusiast. I was involved in PLO politics very dynamically when we moved beyond the dialogue of arms towards adopting the arms of dialogue, beyond double negation towards mutual recognition. We became unreasonably reasonable, not asking for absolute justice, but for possible justice. In spite of that, I have to express my disappointment. Why? At no moment did he feel the need to express empathy and sympathy for the Palestinian people. And I believe, sir, we are not children of a lesser God.
I understand.
In Gaza, we are 2.2 million people, and he would have been well inspired to express sympathy.
Can I ask you, you represented the PLO, and in those days, PLO, Yasser Arafat, there was a clear leadership for the Palestinian people. Now we have Hamas, with whom the Israelis, for obvious reasons, will not speak or deal at all directly.
Yeah, but there is
we have the Palestinian Authority. So my question is, without Hamas being involved in any way, can there be a peace agreement?
I believe that the PLO and the PA should be associated and involved in any discussion for the future, and they'll be a very constructive player, by the way. And let me tell you my belief. Hamas will be today well advised, in spite of this document, which I believe is a disgrace of diplomacy. Hamas will be well advised to liberate the hostages they have, so as to remove any pretext for Mr. Netanyahu to continue with his slaughter, his indiscriminate bombardment. And even Israel...
That would be the humane and the intelligent move.
That's it. And I personally believe that Israeli circles will tell you that over 83% of the fatalities and the casualties are civilians in Gaza. Civilians, over 83%. So if I were Hamas, I would liberate immediately the hostages we detain, so that Netanyahu, we deprive him of any possible pretext to continue his slaughter. And I believe there should be another negotiation with President Trump, with the Arab and Muslim leaders who took part in the New York meeting, in addition to the PLO and the PA. And I believe here Trump was very badly advised when he removed the visa possibility for the PLO participation in the UN
You
General
need to
Assembly.
get everybody around the table.
Sir,
I understand that.
There is an agreement between the USA and the UN going back to the early 50s that any country involved in UN working can have access to New York and to the headquarters of the United Nations, even if the Americans don't have diplomatic relations with them.
Now, Mr. Safieh, you said country there. Of course, this country has just recognized Palestinian state. But in his response to the Trump peace plan, Mr. Netanyahu said absolutely no question of a Palestinian state, no question of a two-state solution. So presumably your view is that the other thing that Trump has to do is put far more pressure on Netanyahu and his government.
Sir, let me tell you, it seems to me that Mr. Trump is unaware of the changes that have occurred within American society itself. Not only a majority of the Democratic supporters in America, but also a significant minority within the Republican Party are unhappy at the conduct of American foreign policy in the Middle East. American foreign policy in the Middle East today seems and looks like a subcontract in the Israeli strategy. And many start to believe that Trump speaks of let's make America great again, but in that case, it's the tail that is wagging the dog and not the dog wagging the tail. Everybody expected Netanyahu to be pressured by Trump. On the contrary, what Trump did was adopt the Netanyahu approach. And let me tell you, in international relations, Mr. Marr, deterrence is a legitimate policy. What is deterrence? It's to dissuade a neighbor of undertaking a policy detrimental to my national interests. Yeah. The strategy of Netanyahu is compellence, how to compel and coerce your neighborhood into policies that are
I understand. Well, listen, one thing we do on this show is always try to bring people who know what they're talking about, and we've certainly done it tonight. Mr. Afif Safieh, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you.